Well, 4 days ago we came to the Australian PGA Championship, but a US Open broke out, even par the winning score this week. Welcome to our Day 4 wrap from Royal Pines. I'm joined by iseekgolf.com analyst Bruce Young. As always, Bruce, boy oh boy, what did we see today? Eventually, Nathan Holman going home with the trophy, but that doesn't tell half of the story, does it?
Well, we've seen it all week, really, haven't we? From the very first day when Xander Lombard shot 67, 5 under par. The scores have gone backwards from that point on, really. This golf course hasn't gotten any easier each day. The breezes, the overhead conditions have improved slightly each day, but the golf course really has been an incredible test of golf for this field this week. And early days yet, I think the golf course is going to improve each year as the presentation and the conditioning of the golf course improves, but I think it's been a very good start for this revamped layout.
And it has identified a terrific champion.
Well, I think so too. I know Nathan Holman's not necessarily a recognised name in Australia at this stage, but I think most people have considered him one of those players, and we mentioned it last night on the show, building platforms each year. He's only been a professional for 2 years, but he really has done pretty well in Europe, given that it's pretty much his first season over there this year. And yeah, he's always looked to me, Rod, like he is a quality golfer in the making, and I think what we've seen this week is really the beginning of a fairly significant career.
For all of that, Bruce, it wasn't easy. It was a thrilling day, a roller coaster of a day, players surging and falling back. Of course, only 2 years as a professional. Understandably, Nathan Holman was nervous heading to the extra holes.
Kind of started to feel like the legs were a little bit shaky. Kind of was probably thinking into the future a little bit, and I tried to snap out of that, and obviously got a little bit of help there with the two guys making bogey. But yeah, to win the event's amazing feeling.
Yeah, won the playoff, of course, Bruce, but not to forget, double bogeyed the first hole and bogeyed the last two. So a really extraordinary performance from Nathan Holman. He wasn't the only one in contention at the start of the day. 4 players under par at the beginning. Harold Varner and Dylan Fratelli from South Africa in the final group. They had their struggles early.
More especially Fratelli. He was 5 over par through 7 holes and looked like he was playing his way out of the tournament. Then he staged quite a comeback, really. He birdied the 12th and birdied the 13th from about 35 feet. He did bogey the 14th, he came up short of the green and missed a 10-footer for par. And then he just parred from there on in. So it was a pretty darn good comeback from Fratelli to get himself into the playoff.
The one under the back nine is no mean feat around this golf course. As we said, Bruce, Harold Varner, who's been a real revelation, I think, to the fans in Australia, a really great character and really enjoys the game and brings the fans along. He had a putt to win the whole show on the 18th hole.
He is a lot of fun, Rod. I mean, throughout the course of the day, even with tournament officials out there, he was having fun with them. And they had to adjudicate on 3 rulings for him on the 15th. After initially finding the water there, he took bogey, and that was really the end of, in some ways, the opportunity to win the tournament outright. But he was right there at the finish, as you said, had a putt on the last to potentially win it. He'll be disappointed, obviously, to have missed out. He does have his PGA Tour card, and he's a breath of fresh air as far as being an invite to this tournament. I think he's done a great deal for the tournament.
PGA Tour card, not a bad thing to fall back on, Bruce. You can do all right on that tour if you play okay. Another player who's going to play the PGA Tour next year and had his chances today, the local, and boy, didn't the crowds come out and support him, Cameron Smith.
Well, we've seen from him an amazing rookie season last year on the Asian Tour, and then really some great results on the PGA Tour this year when he's played events, and now he has his PGA Tour card. He got himself into the lead briefly in the early stages of the back nine, and as you said, he brought a lot of locals. He's a Brisbane lad, and a lot of friends and family were out there encouraging him on. Wasn't able to get the job done, but it's a good, encouraging tournament for him.
Yeah, and look, a terrific finish to the summer of golf for him. Of course, we mentioned there Cam Smith and Harold Varner have their PGA Tour cards. Nathan Holman now has his European Tour card, but Bruce, $315,000 in his pocket, but he also gets an invite to the Open Championship and 2 World Golf Championship. He had no idea about any of that, as he told us afterwards.
It's huge. I didn't realise what was on the line, really. It's probably a good thing, to be honest. I did think I'd get to those events in the future. I didn't think it was going to be this quickly. I mean, it's for a young Australian guy to be able to go and play those events, play British Opens, stuff you dream of playing golf when you're a kid, to get into those events just to play them is going to be an amazing feeling. And to do it off the back of a victory, I think is probably going to be better. I mean, I've deserved it.
Right, a lot of people have suggested that's not a bad day's work for a man to have won those sort of riches, but as we know, tournament golf doesn't work that way. This guy's worked most of his life to get to this stage, so he deserves everything he's earned today.
Yeah, it's the unseen part of golf, isn't it? They really do work, professionals, probably harder than a lot of us. Bruce, of course, and congratulations to Nathan Holman. We must say that is a terrific story, but speaking of stories, this is the last event of the Summer of Golf. We've seen
Sadly.
3 very different tournaments, 3 very different winners. What's been your highlight from the last 3 weeks?
You are right. They are 3 very different winners, all Australians, admittedly. But we've got the established veteran in Peter Senior winning the Masters. I guess an established PGA Tour player, Matt Jones, winning the Australian Open. And today, really an emerging star, in Nathan Holman winning the PGA Championship. For mine, Rod, I can't go past Peter Senior's win at the age of 56 to complete the Grand Slam of victories in his 50s, having won the Australian Open in 2000. Australian PGA, excuse me, in 2010, the Australian Open in 2012, and now the Australian Masters. So for mine, that's the pick. What about you?
Look, I can't agree more. An extraordinary achievement for Peter Senior, but for me and for Australian golf, I don't think he can go past the Sunday afternoon of the Australian Open. Thrill a minute, doesn't matter where you were in the world. If you were a golf fan, you would have been glued to that. The names that were in it, the golf that was played, and for mine, that's what I'll remember from the 2015 Summer of Golf.
Well, I'm not going to argue too strongly with you. I think all 3 wins have been significant in their own right. So it has been a pretty darn good Summer of Golf here thus far in Australia.
Sadly though, Bruce, it is at an end, and it's been terrific to have you on board. Thank you very much for your company and your help over the last 3 weeks.
It's always a pleasure.
And thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back again on The Week in Golf next week. Look forward to your company then.